It's really a wonderful performance. We are honored enough that we have some more distinguished guests with us. We have Jila Panchayat President Mrs. Tawar. So I would like to request our chairperson Mrs. Jyoti Chhaje to offer a cordial welcome to her. We also have Mr. Basanti Lalji Chhaje. For that I would request chairperson Mr. Pramod Chhaje to offer a warm welcome. Thank you so much, sir. We also have respected Shikachandji Chajet. For that, I would request respected Principal Sir to offer a cordial welcome. We also have with us Mr. Rakesh Singh. For that, I would request respected Senior Coordinator Doshi Sir to offer a cordial welcome. Thank you so much, sir. We also have Mr. Bhavsar with us. He is being welcomed. Thank you, sir. We also have with us Mr. Vimal Chandji Chhajer, the chairman, Shrikanwartara Chhajer Trust, Barwaha. I do request Honorable Principal Sir, Honorable Chairman Sir, to offer a cordial welcome to him.
कौन कहता है कि आसमां में सुराग नहीं होता? एक पत्थर तो तबीयत से उछालो जरा.
Rightly said, my dear.
The school provides a strength and interests where students get the opportunity to grow in various fields,
Which helps them to shine brightly at various platforms and levels.
They also recognize their passions and pursue them.
We do recognize their achievements, which are not just trophies or certificates.
They are the result of efforts, growth, and the learning journey that a school has provided.
And now, finally, the moment we all have been waiting for has arrived.
Let's appreciate the ones who have truly outshined in their respective fields.
So, for the same, I would like to request all the dignitaries to please come upon the stage for prize distribution.
to the parents and guardians. Your unwavering support has made this movement possible. So first, we have Ivanshi Patidar, who secured 99% in class 3rd. I'd also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Dinesh Patidar to please come upon the stage. As we celebrate academic excellence, remember, remember that knowledge is the spark that ignites the flame of innovation, driving progress and transforming lives.
Next, we have Diya Verma, who got 96% in class 4th. I would also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Lokendra Verma to please come upon the stage. Today's achievements are tomorrow's foundation. May your academic success propel you towards a brighter future.
So next, we have Mahak Rathor, who got 99% in class 5th. I'd also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Anil Rathor to please come upon the stage. Mahak Rathor. Your academic journey is not just about reaching milestones, but about cultivating resilience, adaptability, and a growth mindset.
Next, we have Adhya Saraf, who got 97.70% in class 6. I would also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Vikas Saraf to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Asmi Belapurkar, who got 97.50% in class 7. I'd also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Kapil Belapurkar to please come upon the stage. Believe in the power of your education to shape your destiny and inspire others.
Next, we have Anvi Jain, who got 98% in class 8. I would also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Mukesh Jain to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Anvi Jain, who got 98% in class 8. I'd also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Mukesh Jain to please come upon the stage. Next, we have Vrinda Billore, who got 99% in class 9. I'd also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Ashwin Billore to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Omijit Parihar, who got 95.20% in class 10th. I would also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Bhupendra Singh Parihar to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Ronak Patel, who got 95.2% in class 10th. I'd also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Patel to please come upon the stage. Next, we have Asha Solanki, who got 89.20% in class 11th maths. I'd also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Prakash Solanki to please come upon the stage. The true measure of academic success lies not in grades but in the ability to apply knowledge to real world challenges.
Next, we have Shivangi Rathore, who got 90.40% in class 11th bio. I would also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Bhagwan Das Rathore to please come upon the stage. Education is a social contract. May your academic achievements contribute to greater good.
Next, we have Arzu Patidar, who got 90.60% in class 11th commerce. I'd also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Dipesh Patidar to please come upon the stage. As lifelong learners, we must embrace the unknown, question assumptions, and seek wisdom.
Next, we have Akanksha Yadav, who got 83.40% in class 12th bio. I would also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Subhash Yadav to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Rudra Pratap Singh Sisodia, who got 95.02% in class 12th maths. I'd also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Kuldeep Singh Sisodia to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Manvi Bagmar, who got 92% in class 12th commerce. I would also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Vitesh Bagmar to please come upon the stage.
The more difficult the victory, the greater the happiness in winning.
It's not whether you're knocked down, it's whether you get up.
So here we have the champions who kept playing until they got it right.
So first, we have Sarthak Kanungo, who got selected in state level volleyball championship. I would also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Sanjay Kanungo to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Takshak Upadhyay, who got selected in state level volleyball championship. I'd also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Mahesh Upadhyay to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Yash Patidar, who got selected in state level volleyball championship. I would also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Pavan Patidar to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Arzu Patidar, who got selected in a state level volleyball championship as well as a state level cricket championship. I'd also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Dipesh Patidar to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Kanan Patidar, who got selected in state level volleyball championship. I would also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Pravin Patidar to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Prachi Patidar, who got selected in a state level volleyball championship. I'd also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Mukesh Patidar to please come upon the stage. May I now request Mr. Rakesh sir to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Nandini Chauhan, who got selected in state level volleyball championship. I would also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Mahesh Chauhan to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Jayavarshan Solanki, who got selected in archery. I'd also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Lakhan Solanki to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Vikash Vaskil, who got selected in archery. I would also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Jagdish Vaskil to please come upon the stage.
With courage in our hearts and the dreams in our eyes, we aim for the skies.
Next, we have Ritika Agrawal, who got selected in road rescue. I would also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Nilesh Agrawal to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Avleen Kaur, who got selected in road rescue. I'd also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Tajinder Singh Kaur to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Sanskriti Shroff, who got selected in road rescue. I would also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Shyam Shroff to please come upon the stage.
Next, we have Charvi Shetty, who got selected in Road Rescue. I'd also like to request Mr. and Mrs. Venu Shantaram Shetty to please come up on the stage. Now, we have participants of AFS. First, Aditi Patel. Next, Sanskriti Shroff. They got selected in Forgotten Arts. Aditi Patel, Sanskriti Shroff, Nakul Patel, Ayushi Nagraj, Bhumika Patidar, Vedai Sharma, and we would also like to request their parents to come upon the stage.
For kind information, AF is American Field Service and our students participated at the international level and they received the first prize. A huge round of applause for all these students. They participated in under the topic Forgotten Arts where our students prepared Sanja and submitted to the AFS and there we got first prize. And for that we have all these students, Aditi Patel, Sanskriti Shroff, Nakul Patel, Ayushi Nagraj, Bhumika Patel and Vedai Sharma. I do request their parents also to please come up on the stage. Aditi Patel, please come up on the stage. I also request Mr. and Mrs. Rakesh Patel to please come up on the stage. It's a pride moment for all of us. In Kala Bharti, Vanshika Herve, she got first prize at the national level. I do request Mr. and Mrs. Sunil Herve to please come up on the stage. She also received a token of 1000 rupees. Now I would request Pratigya Varfa to please come up on the stage. I also request the parents of Pratigya Varfa to be there on the stage. She has been selected at the state level in cricket. Now I would request Manas Kothari to please come up on the stage. He has been selected at the national level in volleyball. I always also request the parents of Manas Kothari to be there on the stage. So this is what the celebration of the talented minds who have made it for prestigious institutions. Now I do request all the dignitaries to please take their seats. Now I would like to call upon Harshit Geete and his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Ajay Kumar, as Harshit Geete has been selected in IIT BHU. I do request them to please come up on the stage. Now I would request Manali Rathod to please come up on the stage. I also request Mrs. and Mr. Girjesh Rathod to please come up on the stage. Manali Rathod has been selected in MBBS College, Hindwara. Now I would like to call Manjusha Patidar. I also request Mrs. and Mr. Basant Patidar to please come up on the stage. Manjusha Patidar has been selected in KIIT Bhopal. Now I would like to request Manvi Bagmar to please come up on the stage. I also request Mrs. and Mr. Vitesh Bagmar to please come up on the stage. Manvi Bagmar has been selected in CA Foundation. Now I would request Priyal Patidar to please come up on the stage. I also request Mrs. and Mr. Narendra Patidar to please come up on the stage. Priyal Patidar has been selected in CSEETCS. I do request Nukul Patel to please come up on the stage. I also request the proud parents of Nukul parents to be there on the stage. He was also an active participant in the Forgotten Arts, which was selected at the national level. Now I would request Ayush Yadav to please come up on the stage. I also request Mrs. and Mr. Amar Singh Yadav to please come up on the stage. Ayush Yadav has been selected in RGTU Bhopal. I do request Priyal Patidar to please come up on the stage. I also request Mrs. and Mr. Narendra Patidar to please come up on the stage. Priyal Patidar has been selected in CSEETCS. Congratulations to all who well deserved success. Remember, success is the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. So keep shining, all of you. Now, I do request all the dignitaries to please take their seats. To please sit here on the stage only. I do request Honorable Senior Coordinator Mr. Abhijit Doshi to please hold the mic.
एक बार पुनः समस्त अतिथियों एवं पालकों का हार्दिक अभिनंदन, हार्दिक स्वागत। आज हमें यह अवसर प्राप्त हुआ है that we should felicitate a personality who has worked very silently to make our environment green. हम हर साल हरियाली अमावस्या दिवस को ग्रीन डे के रूप में सेलिब्रेट करते हैं और कबरतारा ने हर बार एक ऐसी ड्राइव चलाई है प्लांटेशन को लेकर के, जिससे कि हमारा पर्यावरण हरा भरा रहे। मैं आप सभी को बताना चाहता हूं कि बिफोर फ्यू मंथ्स आवर प्रिंसिपल सर हैड थॉट अबाउट एन आइडिया। उन्हें ख्याल आया कि क्यों ना इस बार हरियाली अमावस्या के अवसर पर कम से कम 5000 पौधे रोपित किए जाएं, जिससे कि एक बार फिर से हमारा पर्यावरण हरा भरा रहे। एंड द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग इज व्हेन ही शेयर्ड हिज विजन विद ऑनरेबल चेयरमैन सर, ही गॉट इमीडिएट अप्रूवल विदाउट एनी डिले। तो मैं अपने आप को भाग्यशाली मानता हूं कि दैट आई एम हियर टू स्पीक द नोट ऑफ ग्रेटिट्यूड फॉर ऑनरेबल चेयरमैन सर in recognition of your outstanding contribution to the community and your dedicated support in promoting environment conservation. On behalf of entire staff, student and council of Shrikanwartara Public Higher Secondary School, Mandleshwar, we extend our heartfelt gratitude and sincere appreciation to Shrikanwartara Charitable Trust for your extraordinary contribution in leading the initiative to plant 5,100 trees in the nearby villages, significantly benefiting the local ecosystem and enhancing the green cover of our region. This noble undertaking reflects the true spirit of seva, social empowerment through work education and action, a core value promoted by CBSE. We deeply value the opportunity you have provided to our students to actively engage in this transformative environmental project. The initiative instilled in fraternity the importance of community service. On behalf of the school, we extend our deepest appreciation for your benevolent effort and commendable social work. With sincere thanks and admiration. Thank you very much, sir.